Welcome everyone to episode 8 of the Looks Like a Movie podcast. My name's Kevin. I'm here with only Owen this time. Doug is not
Just
able
me.
to be here this week, so we're just going to do our little Valentine's Day episode with the two of us. Kind of like a little Valentine's Day date as
Yeah.
well. Um, but
Three's
we're
a
gonna
crowd, so
yeah, exactly. We're gonna talk about the new Magic Mike movie, Magic Mike's Last Dance, and probably maybe sprinkle in a little bit of discussion about the first two movies. And then we're also gonna do a quick little segment where we talk about some romantic movies with leads that have good chemistry. And then we're gonna do a little like movie draft of sorts, you could call it. We're going to each
Yep.
build a romantic movie, but we'll get to that later in the episode. Share the episode, like, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube, and we can start with Magic Mike's Last Dance. For people who aren't familiar with the Magic Mike movies, I mean, there's already like a large perception of what the Magic Mike movies are about, at least based on how they're advertised. I'm not going to get into like a summary of each of the movies, but we're going to get into spoilers. So just that's the little warning.
Yeah. Spoilers for Magic Mike.
Yeah,
Uh,
spoilers for all the Magic Mike movies.
yeah.
The third movie takes place when Channing Tatum's character Magic Mike is retired from stripping, and he
He's
meets
done.
he meets Salma Hayek's character, and she's like this very wealthy person from London, and she asks him to come with her to London and reveals that she wants him to direct for like a big theater, like direct a
Yeah.
performance for the stage and put a whole team of dancers together.
Yep.
Let's start with rating. I think we have the same rating for this movie, or I
So
think
I dropped my rating.
okay.
I originally did have it at 4 stars, but then it did go down to a 3.5 for me. But I do really enjoy this movie.
So mine's still a 4 star. I don't know, but the more I think I now that I've sat on it a little bit, it's like I think I've been contemplating more of the negatives than the positives, and it makes me want to lower it a little bit. But I'm
Yeah.
not
Well,
like I don't
for
know.
me,
There's
it
still a
was
lot of
more
stuff I
like
like about
I
it.
have all the Magic Mike movies at 3.5. And I
Yeah,
felt more comfortable with having it just like I like all these like the same kind of amount because it was more of like, yeah, I probably like this more than the other ones because it's like I saw this one in theaters and it was a lot of fun. And like I
yeah,
kind of have
yeah,
more connection to this movie, but it's like I don't really like yeah, there's some flaws to it. But I do think this movie is a lot better than some people are giving it credit for.
yeah. I
Because
mean,
it's a lot of fun.
hating on it, but to be fair, it's like I want to say people are hating on it, but then I look at it and I'm like, the reviews aren't and all that different than they
Well,
are
it's
with the first
interesting.
two
Yeah, it is
movies.
interesting
And the
because
first two movies have kind of been like,
because
like
everyone
reclaimed as
talks
like these really
very
good movies.
yeah, everyone talks very highly about the second one, and then
Yeah,
it seems like there's this kind of like, oh, the third one's kind of not as good, but on Letterbox it's like the second one has a 3.2. I think the third one has like a 3, so it's
yeah,
like and the
they're not
first
that
one I
far
think
apart.
like the first one has a 3 as well, so it's not like the average guy is like Magic Mike is the greatest thing. I think
Yeah.
the perception is like, oh, they're okay.
Yeah, no, that's true. We'll start with stuff we like. I will say that I think we're kind of on opposite ends because this is your favorite of the three, and I think this is my
Yeah,
least
I
favorite
think
of
it's
the
a
Magic Mike
yeah.
movies. So we definitely need to talk about that. But just starting with things that we like, of course, I think the one thing that we're definitely in agreement about is how the movie's shot, right? Because
Yeah, no, it's
that's
really
the thing
pretty.
that you like most about movies, I would guess.
There's a really great moment with Salma Hayek and Channing Tatum, and they're in the back of the car, and there's these like
Yeah,
blue lights on their face, and then there's obviously
yeah,
like the last like 20 whatever minutes. I think there's like some really great stuff when they're dancing, and it's just I think it's a really like Soderbergh's obviously. I talked about this kind of in my review, but I think he shoots movies interestingly because you'll have like a lot of directors, or I guess because he's both the cinematographer and the director, you'll have a lot of like very like distinct, stylized, like kind of things that kind of pop out with a lot of people. But I think the way Soderbergh works is very precise and
yeah,
like he works like in a clean kind of manner where he knows what he's doing and he knows what everything's supposed to be, but it's not anything that's going to pop out at you. He kind of lets
yeah,
the actual action on screen do the popping.
Yeah.
So he sets up everything in a way that the dancing can do the kind of show aspect. Because honestly, I think if like you had something like Baz Luhrmann, who was kind of the opposite on that spectrum, it could have been like a lot. It's maybe like too much.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I do think I really like the way Soderbergh shoots the movie.
Yeah, and I think we've had like conversations recently about like cinematography in general and how people kind of care a lot about like these really like pretty moments, and like that's kind of what they equate with it, you know what I mean? Where it's just
Yeah.
like a gorgeous like landscape and stuff, and it's like that kind of like I feel like Soderbergh kind of like with all the Magic Mike movies kind of like proves like that cinematography is more than that,
Well, yeah.
because you see camera moves in his
Well,
movies. Like
I've
he's
already heard a couple people talk about
stuff.
how like they're like, yeah, the cinematography in the Magic Mike movies are just like okay, and I think a lot of that comes from it just not being as in your face. I think it's really good, but it's subtle. It's a
Yeah,
subtle.
because there's
It's
no
very
real
subtle.
like there's no even when you think about it, when you think of like this is something I noticed about all the movies is like they're kind of like small for how big the stakes feel within like when you think of like the world of like adult entertainment kind
Yeah,
of thing, and you think like, oh, we're gonna make this like grand movie about
yeah,
male strippers, you would think they take place on like this grand stage, and then like when you look at the third movie, for example, it's like I get that they hype up the theater as this,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like big venue or whatever, and it probably is a big venue, but like it
Uh-huh.
doesn't feel like huge. You know what I mean? Like there's not a
Well,
ton of like
I
stuff
was
going on.
surprised to know that this movie has like a $40 million budget.
Yeah,
Because
I'm so curious where that went.
the first two are like I think the first one's like 7 million and the
Yeah,
second one's like 15. And I really
yeah,
don't know because like it's in yeah, so I don't really know where the money went with there. I know you're in like London and you're in all these locations.
yeah.
Which
There are a lot of yeah. There's a number of shots that are like kind of like all the London things is definitely because travel expenses too, like filming between two different locations. I'd
yeah.
imagine. I don't
I
know
mean,
that
yeah, I
much
don't
of
know
it.
the money, but like it's interesting because I think when you talk about how this is about these movies are about male entertainers, and I think if you, I think it's very interesting the way they make these movies because I think you a lot of people making movies about like strippers, you would have like these kind of like very like LSD kind of moments with all these lights and like everything. I feel like it would just be like, I think the way they shoot Magic Mike is very grounded, and it's
Yeah.
like they're this like the humanizing thing of it. Like it's just you're it's so I don't know. It's shot in this way that makes it like just like the everyday kind of thing.
No, the other thing I really want to talk about is which kind of goes along with the cinematography, I guess, is
Yeah.
the dance sequences, because there's like a number of I think the one I want to start with, the obvious one, is that I think the sequence with all of the water and the rain and stuff is out of all three of the movies the
The
best
best.
dance in any
Mhm.
of them,
Yeah, yeah,
because
it's so good.
because like when you're thinking about it, and this is going back to like what I was saying about like how grand it is, and you mentioned the budget, it's like the end of the second movie you would think would be more expensive than the end of the third one, because the end of the second movie is like a bunch of stuff going on and there's like a real crowd, like they're like, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like that one, it feels a lot like
I like
um
how the end of the third one is shot a lot because most of the time you're not even looking at the people dancing or you're getting a lot of like reaction. You're just like kind of watching people watch and those are really
yeah,
interesting.
I really
Um
liked that.
like
Because
yeah, you
it kind of ties into the themes of the movie. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
all of them really.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
all the movies do a really good job, kind of talking about like empowerment and like just framing what the movies are about in a way that like really welcomes an entire audience of people. Like these movies are kind
Mhm.
of for everybody in a way.
Yeah.
In like a really wholesome way, kind of. And like, yeah, the third one, just like seeing all these people enjoy this thing that is like so fun,
Mhm.
and especially like the little like I don't I guess they were like kind of they were put into the movie like pretty loudly, but there's like loud cheers in the movie when
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
going on, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, it's
No, that
like
haven't.
when it was going through the speakers, because I always sit on the edge of the theater, so,
Yeah.
like, when it's going through the speakers and I heard these cheers, it literally felt like I was, like, in a full theater of
Yeah,
people, and
yeah.
I
Like,
looked
I
around and
don't
there was, like, 4 of us watching the movie. It was
Yeah.
like they were so loud, and it's like, I wish I got to see it in a theater full of people, but,
Mhm.
nothing you
Yeah.
can do about that. I don't know, people need to go watch Magic Mike.
Yeah.
But yeah, that, like, 3rd scene in the rain, I'm like, "Bro, this is so"
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like it reminds me a lot of, like, I don't know, that I was talking I mean, I've talked about it already with, like, all the movies that they kind of, like, feel like just, like, adult rated, like, Step Up movies,
Yeah, yeah.
and of course, like, Step Up has these really, like, intricate, dance sequences and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but they don't have as many, like, intimate ones, and I
Yeah,
love, like, that was, like, this really, like it's, like, actually I mean, I'm not obviously, dance is art, but, like and I'm not saying that
yeah.
it's not for the
Yeah, yeah.
Step Up movies, but it's, like, this really, like, beautiful, like, storytelling moment, the way they, like, have this, like, perform like, it was just like, I want to
And
cry when I was
no,
watching it.
I mean, especially in that end sequence, I think it's such an emotional moment because you don't Channing Tatum the whole movie really he dances like one time. You get that dance at
Mhm.
the beginning, and then you don't know if he's gonna you know he's gonna dance, but you don't know he's gonna dance. Like
Yeah.
you're like he has to
Yeah.
dance, but like he's like no I'm not dancing to my thing. And then you go
Yeah.
through all the other things, and he comes out, and it's like the big kind of moment there to kind of cap off the trilogy. And it's beautiful. I think it's great. It's a great scene.
No, yeah, I agree, and I like the dance because I know you mentioned that you like it too, the one that happens in the beginning of the movie,
Yeah, no, that
'cause
one's really good.
I think that's shot in, like, a really interesting way,
Mhm.
especially, like, just the way they use the room and the way they move around the
Yeah.
room.
Mhm.
Um, what else do we wanna talk about? Oh, the other, thing that I see, this is one I'm kind of iffy about because there's like I have like a like and dislike pairing kind of because I
Okay.
think I think that Channing Tatum and Salma Hayek have really good chemistry with each other, but it's
Mhm.
not used the right way because I don't think that the romance like actually on paper is like written the way I would have
Yeah,
wanted it to be.
I don't think their romance is, like, that great.
Yeah.
I like the little, like, found family kinda thing going on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought
I
that
dig that as
the
well.
butler guy and the daughter, I think they're really
Yeah.
cute. I don't know, I kind of liked those characters. I feel like those people
Yeah.
like, because I know a lot of people talk about how they miss the boys and they miss that whole aspect, and obviously
Yeah.
but I think it's very interesting because I think in every Magic Mike, it's a totally different kind of vibe, like, with the story is so
Yeah.
different. And I think this was an interesting detour to kind of see Mike on his own, really out in the wild again.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not to mention, like, you're talking about like, when you think about the 2nd movie and what makes the 2nd movie work so much, it's, like, these, like, friendships that he shares with everybody, right?
mhm.
But a big thing from the very beginning of the first Magic Mike movie is, like, this idea of, like, growing up and making a life for yourself, and at
Yeah,
some point, like, that story has to end with, like,
but
him growing up, and,
yeah.
like, that's what the 3rd movie
Yeah,
is
I
him
know. Well,
evolving his friends, like
it was always like he was
you
like,
know?
"Yeah, I'm doing this stripping thing, but like, it's not what I
Yeah,
want to be doing
exactly.
forever." And it was just like he's
Yeah,
finally kind of getting like found his kind of end
like an actual
goal.
family
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than just, like, hanging with his friends
And
until he's 50, you know?
I thought it
So
was really fun to see him like work with these dancers and kind of be in this kind of mentor role.
yeah. I think it's yeah, I think a
I
lot
do think it's
of
interesting
moments
because
like
you
that.
really don't get to meet any of these dancers.
Yeah, which
You never spend time with them, which I it's not necessarily like a positive, but it is interesting because I
yeah,
it's like you would wish you would get more with them. It's probably
yeah.
like one of the negatives, I guess, but it's also like I think they don't really matter. Like
Interesting.
it's
Well,
like
okay, here's the reason why I think that's a negative to me
yeah,
is because I think a
the
lot of
dance
what it
scenes at the
boils I
end.
think a lot of what it boils down to
Mhm.
is if if the romance isn't gonna work, like,
Yeah,
as it's written, then
yeah,
other stuff has to work, and it's like the
mhm,
found family stuff, like you said, is, like, really
yeah,
good. I actually thought that the whole thing with the daughter would be, like, very interesting if I
Yeah.
cared as much about the couple,
Mhm.
because it's like there's some
Yeah.
cute little moments between him and the daughter, and I'm like, oh, they like there's like a clear like little bond there, but it's like you need to like if it's a found family kind of thing, then you need to care about
Yeah.
him,
No,
his
I mean,
character
I wish
more
I would you would
than
obviously you'd want the romance to be probably better, but I
the
think it is interesting because I feel like I think if we got too much time with the like other dancers, I feel like it would have felt too much like to it would have been like trying to recreate something that we
yeah,
already did.
see, like
So I
capture
think
the
it isn't.
magic of
So
the
yeah,
second one.
you I think you would if in like a perfect version of this, the romance part would be like better, but I
Yeah.
don't think we needed to like just get to know new guys. I don't
Yeah, well,
I think it was
that's the thing. I think there's I think I can agree with that. Like, I think
yeah.
we could do without getting to know them, especially because of how much we like the guys from the second one. But,
Yeah, yeah.
like
We don't need to
but
you know,
yeah, exactly, and it's hard to
replace
replace
them.
them.
Yeah, yeah.
But, yeah, that's the thing with the romance and the way it's executed. It just feels like there was, like I think it had, like, the right beats
Mhm,
at
mhm.
like on both ends of it where it's like the
Yeah.
romance starts in a way that I think is very interesting. I think that's like I think the setup in the opening scene and the way that they meet is very like good setup for like the type
Mhm.
of romantic movie that I would enjoy.
I like
And
how
I think
we jump right into it.
yeah,
We don't
exactly.
mess
Like I like
around.
that. It's very like it's kind of like the meet cute, except it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
not
yeah.
really a meet
Yeah,
cute
yeah.
because it's just like it is a meet cute, but it's just like a different kind of meet cute, I guess. And then of course you get the ending, and I think that the ending works because of their chemistry. Like that's the part I like, where it's like I buy the ending and I want them together because like
Yeah.
on the screen together they look good. I just wish the stuff in the middle made me care about them because I
Mhm.
feel like there's so much like I feel like there's so much other stuff going on that doesn't really like help them build their relationship at
Yeah.
all because it's like I think for example her relationship with her soon to be ex-husband
Yeah, all that
is
stuff is kind of a
yeah, and
mess.
it's like it matters because it ties into what the message of the movie is supposed to
Yeah.
be, like this idea of like empowerment and making women feel empowered. Like you kind of need that relationship to exist,
Yeah.
but the way that it's executed just feels like it's so like off to the
We
side. And it's
needed
like
there's the
he's just
moment
like
in the first one where it's Channing Tatum and I forget the girl in the first one, but they're on the beach and they're walking and they're just talking and they're having a conversation on the beach.
yeah,
They needed
exactly.
like a moment like that in the middle where they just kind of everything kind of slows down and you kind of just get some dialogue between the two of them. And
Yeah.
if like it just felt like a little extra in the middle to kind of build up this kind of relationship because it was like a lot of it was just like, oh, they're just like, it's like, oh, because it was like there was never really together. I guess it was always
Yeah.
just like it was like, oh, they're working on this project. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but they're not actually doing it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
There's no real moments where like you see them like
Mhm.
bonding. By the way, her name is Cody Horn.
Oh yeah, okay.
But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, like there's no real moments
Mhm.
where you see
Yeah.
like that kind of like you need to see
We
like
never needed to
spark.
see the ex-husband.
Yeah, that's what I'm
We
saying. That's what
never
I'm
needed
thinking.
to
I'm like,
see him.
you could explain that
Mhm.
and why it matters because that's what they do in the other movies too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for example, when you look at like what's it called? The second movie with what's her name's character? Why can't I can't think of her name right now? Jada Pinkett
Oh
Smith's
yeah, yeah.
character, when he goes to like visit them in the mansion, like there's a whole lot of explanation there about like what their relationship used to be like in the past. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like you don't
No, yeah,
really and
we
that
could have
explanation works and like her
yeah,
character makes sense in that scene. And it's like you could have just explained Salma
yeah.
Hayek's situation to us and we would understand it. Like I don't know. And you could
Yeah,
replace
no,
the
I
scene
think
with that.
there's like little stuff like that I think could be reworked, but overall I think this is like 'cause I feel like we've kind of been like just honing in on like the negative stuff, but I think this movie's
Yeah.
really fun and I
I think
think
the
it
comedy is really fun. I
yeah,
think
no,
this
it's
one
fun.
is like
It's
very, very packed full of like good jokes, I would say, which they
yeah,
all are really, but
yeah, yeah. But I no, I had a blast. I think
yeah.
the ending is really great. I think it's paced well. I mean, obviously, like we were talking about
Yeah.
like things that we didn't like and we could remove, but I think it goes by like fast.
Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah.
there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. I feel like there's a lot of like, well,
Mhm.
that's the thing. It's like we mentioned that like some of the stuff going on isn't necessary, but also all the stuff going on makes the movie work pretty quickly. Like
Mhm.
there's not, I was never really
Yeah.
bored. The only other like I hate to keep going with the negatives, but like the only other thing that I
Yeah.
really I don't have like I don't know. I'm pretty honed in on like those specific negatives, but it's like they don't weigh down the movie enough for me. The only one that kind of weighs down the movie is like, and I think I mentioned this to you already, is that it just kind of like lacks the subtlety of the first two movies because I
Mhm.
think there's something really special about how the first two movies in the series are like super political movies,
Yeah.
and they like are very like almost radical even with like their ideas, but they don't ever really like tell the
Yeah.
audience that they have these radical ideas. Like you just kind of like feel it. Like for example, because that's like something I really liked about the second one and that I mentioned in my review was that like the movie is for people of all identities, and that's like a really empowering thing to present in a movie, but the movie never has to say like, you know, like like this is a
Yeah.
movie
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
for these people. It's just like it just presents all these different groups of people to you in a way where it's like when people watch it, they're like, oh, this movie is for me, you know, and like that's a really cool thing. And I feel like this movie, like it just I don't know the way that it tries to tell you that it's a movie about empowering women and stuff, and it just and
Yeah.
like
No,
it even has
it
like
is
this little
definitely
like
on it is on the
narration
nose.
going on with the daughter like
Did you?
over the
Yeah. It was.
movie.
Do you not like
And
the daughter narration?
well, no, it's like I wouldn't
Because that
care
was
if
it was
it
interesting. Like
didn't.
it was like that was definitely an interesting choice to have the
Yeah,
daughter narrate the movie.
like what the actual words she's speaking are interesting. I'm not saying it's like a complete negative, but I
Yeah.
just think it like pairs with all this other like kind of like explanation stuff, and I'm just like, I don't think these movies need explanation. I think there's kind of something special about how the first two were executed because
Yeah.
even when the first two explain stuff, it's always in this like it's just always done in a way that makes so much sense. Like Jada Pinkett Smith's character in the second one, she, you know, like she kind of spells out a lot of these like themes, but she does it by like she does it through the dialogue when she's presenting the dancers and stuff and like setting the tone for like this big act that
Yeah.
they're doing, and it like you can buy into it because she would just say that naturally in the show, like in the show that they're doing, so it just like
Yeah.
doesn't feel out of place. And I feel like the explanation in this movie just kind of like feels out of place, and I'm like, oh, I wish it was like a little more
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I wish it didn't do that because then I would probably think a little more highly of it. But it's not like the end of the world. I just like that's kind of something I really appreciate. That's what makes the second one my favorite,
Mhm.
and that's like something I wish they stayed committed to.
Yeah.
Um, but nothing you can do about that.
Yeah. But yeah, you know,
um,
I keep thinking about how like this is like even though you're in location, the location again, this the going back to like this, the budget is really interesting because like it's just
yeah,
I don't know if it's again you're in London, but it still feels very small scaled. Um.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I
It's
don't
also
know.
like with like especially like with the like I think two it feels massive and you have all these like
Kind of.
cameos and you
'Cause
have
it's like
these
a
characters.
yeah,
You
cameos,
have
road trip
characters
as
coming in,
well.
you have characters coming in and out, and here you have Salma Hayek and Channing Tatum, but like everyone else is kind of unknown. You're
Yeah,
you know, you're working in this theater most of the time. It's
yeah.
interesting because
It
it
does
feels
feel like such a
it is kind
small
of very
movie.
grounded. Um,
Yeah. I don't know. I think my big takeaway is for me at least that it just doesn't like stack up with the first two movies, but I think that at the same time it's not as bad as everybody else is saying. So I think it just ends up being
yeah, no, I
a
think it's
perfectly it ends up being a perfectly fine movie. Like to me, I'm like, this is a good
yeah,
movie.
yeah,
Whereas like I think the first two movies are great movies, and really I'd say the
yeah,
second movie is a perfect
yeah.
movie. But that's that's maybe a high praise
Yeah.
compared to what
No,
some other
I
people
mean, no,
say.
I think they're all really good. I think it's an interesting trilogy, and I'd like to see Channing Tatum do more stuff because I think like
Yeah, I'm on board with
he's
that.
not in like I don't know, like this is kind of like some of the best stuff he's in. And
Yeah.
he kind of, I don't know, because I think Soderbergh's really interesting to work with, and I'd like to see him work with more interesting directors.
Yeah, because Channing Tatum is like, and I've said this about Channing Tatum before, and I think this works well in specifically the second Magic Mike because of the fact that it's like about friendship and just like these guys hanging out, but just
Yeah,
the Magic Mike movies in general. Like he's he's a very like one, he's hilarious. I think he's genuinely like
yeah,
one of the
he's really
funniest
funny.
people in
He's the
Hollywood.
only funny part about
And
Bullet Train.
yeah, true.
Yeah,
But yeah, he's funny and he like because he's so funny, he has like that charisma about him where you're just like, this is like a guy that I want to like root for and stuff. And I just feel
yeah,
like he needs to, I don't know. I'm totally cool with him. Like I love like the Jump Street movies, for example. And I'm like, he could have fun doing movies like that
yeah.
all day. But like I don't know, I feel like he has appeal for like movies like this where it's like you can teeter the line a little bit more between serious and funny, and Channing Tatum works because he's
Yeah.
like a charismatic lead who you actually care about in a drama, but he like is funny enough to like for you to have a
Yeah.
good time while you're watching it. So I don't know, Channing Tatum should be in more movies.
Yeah.
That's definitely
Yeah,
the takeaway.
that's the takeaway from that.
And I mean, I don't know, I'd like to see I'd like to see him and Salma Hayek in a romance that's like actually made to be a romance, because I think the best parts about this movie are
Yeah.
not catered to the actual romantic story.
Yeah, that's I mean,
Um,
yeah.
but there's nothing you can do about that.
What are you gonna do? What are you what are you
Anyway,
gonna do?
yeah, anything else you want to say about Magic Mike?
So do you think we will ever see any more of anything Magic Mike related? Or do you think that's it?
I
Because it is,
I
you
feel
say
like
Last Dance, but
yeah.
who
And to be
knows?
fair, XXL felt also like
Yeah, I
it would
mean,
just
it's
be
like
a one-off sequel.
I
Um,
think it's not doing well at the box office though.
yeah,
Um,
I think it's
I
struggling at the
think
box office.
I would say that it's done, but it's interesting. It would be interesting because I mean, there's always more to.
Yeah, I don't like see, the thing is, and again, it's also just like
Yeah,
you can't really weigh it this way, because it's like even my opinion doesn't really like align with the consensus. But typically, I feel like if a franchise is
got to go out on top.
going
Uh,
in a downward
yeah,
direction,
yeah,
it's not a
yeah.
good idea to add more movies
You're
and
probably
like
not. No,
potentially make
no.
it
Yeah,
worse.
I think I'd like them to end it here. I feel
Yeah,
like I don't know.
I
It's a
think
it's a franchise, man. They gotta milk
yeah,
it.
I think
Uh,
that's the thing is like I think
I'd
people
like
are
Tatum and
connected.
I'd like Soderbergh to make more different things. Like I'd like them to move
Yeah,
on and do other stuff. I'd love to see them
I
working together again.
yeah,
Um, just on
I
like
think
something else different.
the thing about Magic Mike, and this is like you already mentioned this before, but it's like all these movies are distinctly different, and I think so many people care about the relationship between the main group of guys in the first two
Yeah,
movies,
yeah. I think
and
that's a lot of people. I think a lot of people are not gonna like three as much because they just
yeah,
want two again.
yeah, but it's like
And
when if you were to make more Magic Mikes,
yeah,
then like are you going to go back to that
yeah.
group of
It's just like
guys, because then it's like
you're gonna make 2.5. Like
yeah, then you're just like, I just feel like it changes.
yeah,
I just don't think there's like a scenario in which another Magic Mike movie would make sense. But it sucks
yeah,
because I do like two so much, but it's also like, and I'd like
yeah.
to see another movie that's just like two, but it's like, what's the point, kind
Yeah,
of?
exactly.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Like I might, if I want that, I could just go watch the second
Yeah, just go
one.
rewatch two. Yeah, that's I think.
Yeah,
If you
that's the
want to watch two again, just go rewatch two. If you want
yeah.
something new, then go see three.
Yeah, but oh, and also, of course, anybody who hasn't seen any of the Magic Mike movies
Yeah,
needs to
check them
the
out.
one. No, but the one thing I want to say about Magic Mike in terms of like recommending it to people is that I think if you haven't watched the Magic Mike movies, there's a perception because of how it's been marketed that this is one, a movie that is like exclusively for women, and two, that these movies are like dumb and like don't have anything to offer, kind of thing, where it's like these are just movies about male strippers and like they don't have any
Yeah,
greater purpose, and it's like these movies are actually like very full of like, and even the like when you look at the first Magic Mike movie, it's like this is literally like a very serious drama about like the recession and a number of like other like really like heavy-ish topics, and like it's marketed as like, oh, this is just a movie where people are gonna like have fun watching a bunch of strippers. It's like,
Yeah.
these movies aren't really about stripping. The dancing itself looks amazing in the movies, but that is like only a fraction of
No, I think that's why I think 3 is really interesting because it's like almost the least about stripping.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
is
more
really not.
about the people, which I think is
Yeah.
interesting. But it's like also it's like I feel like if anyone like actually like is like into movies at this point, like it's kind of obvious. Like you just look at like who is making this movie. It is like
Mhm.
Steven Soderbergh is like one of our best working directors right now, and he's made he's worked on 3 of these. Like obviously it's more than just like this just whatever. Like there's just more to it than uh just a random ass movie that would be about stripping. Like I don't know,
Exactly.
like this is like a real fucking movie.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the takeaway. People should watch Magic Mike, and we
Yeah,
need more Channing Tatum movies.
there you
Okay,
go.
yeah, let's get on to the romantic movies with good chemistry topic, because we already talked about Channing Tatum and Salma Hayek, but there's definitely a number of like romantic movies that I at least think have better better chemistry, and also within the constraints of a better romantic story. I will say a lot of my favorite romances are movies that Owen has not seen. So let's start with
Yeah.
your movie, because your movie is one that I
Oh,
have
okay.
seen.
Yeah, no, I was gonna I like set it up from 2018 with Zoe Deutsch and Glenn Powell a lot.
Mhm.
It's like it's kind of just your average kind of rom-com kind of thing, but I think it is really elevated by their chemistry because like the
Yeah,
plot isn't really anything crazy. It's basically they're both working as assistants to
yeah,
their
these
like
like gym
higher
bosses.
ups,
Yeah, and
and
they try to like
they
hook them up with each other,
yeah,
right?
they try to hook up the higher ups, and then they end up falling for each
Falling
other
for each other. Yeah.
while they try to so it's like it's a very simple like average cheesy rom-com, but I think their chemistry elevates the movie a lot, and I think I'd love to see them in like anything. You
Yeah.
see I think Glenn Powell and Zoe Deutsch are really great.
Yeah, Zoe Deutsch kind of has a knack for like having good chemistry with people.
No,
I feel
she's
like she's
phenomenal.
like a very like likable, well, like within like the romance genre, I guess I should say. I
Mhm.
mean, obviously within anything, but I do think that when
Yeah.
she's like a romantic lead in something, it's very like she can elevate a lot of movies that are like pretty average. Like when I look at some of her filmography, and I'm like, there's a lot of movies in here that like aren't really anything that special, but I do buy her with like some of the people that she's
Yeah,
involved
no,
with.
like I don't think the outfit's that great, but I think she's fun in that.
Yeah. Even like I hate to say it because I don't even
Zombieland
I
Double Tap.
I was like, no, to be fair, her character in Zombieland Double Tap is
Yeah.
hilarious. I mean, she's really funny. But
What
no, I
about
was
why
even gonna
him?
say like, yeah, why him? Like that's
with
like, no.
James.
Yeah, I mean, let's not
Yeah,
talk about
shout out. Shout out
no,
JF.
let's not talk about James Franco.
No, but she's good in that.
Yeah, no, she is.
That
Even
movie's
Dirty
it's a bad
Grandpa with
movie.
Zac Efron. Like
Yeah, no.
she has really
Everybody
good
wants
chemistry
some.
with
She's not in
Zac
that
Efron.
much. Like she's kind of like a small, but I think she's really good in Everybody Wants Some.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say
Um,
she's a small character and everybody wants some. It's kind of like an
yeah,
important.
she's just a supporting, I guess.
Yeah, because
Not
that's
a.
another one.
Have you
The
seen Not
romance.
Okay? You've seen Not Okay, right? I'm
I have
assuming you
seen
see.
that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's not that good.
Oh, you watched it?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that you.
yeah.
That
No,
is like it is such a
I've seen
movie
Not
that
Okay. I've seen Not
I
Okay 3 times.
There's no way that's
No,
real.
I only seen it
I
once.
thought no. I like Not
Um,
Okay. I like Not Okay because of Mia Isaac, but I don't really like anybody else. I thought Mia
really?
was really good
Uh,
at the
yeah,
movie.
she's good.
But yeah, I
Joey
like
Deutsch.
Joy Dice is good.
Yeah, shout out.
But I think she's
Friend
kind
of
of
the
built
pod.
for okay. I feel like she's kind of built for like romance stuff, and I feel like Glenn Powell kind of like has has that like charm about him, and it's kind of like Set It Up's kind of the movie that like that shows that off, I think, because like Everybody Wants Some is more of like him just like
Yeah, well, he's also not like the main focus of Everybody Wants Some.
yeah, but it's also just him being like a little bit of an asshole,
Yeah, yeah.
like,
Yeah,
in a
he's
fun
way
way.
more. He's a completely different guy in the Set It Up.
Yeah, and I haven't really seen like I think Set It Up is really the only movie where he gets to like be a romantic lead, I think, as at least out of the
Yeah,
ones
I
that I've
haven't
seen.
seen a lot of his stuff.
Um, I've seen 8 of his movies, and
Got it.
that's the only one I've seen with him as a romantic lead, and I think he
Well,
kind of
Top
has
Gun Maverick, a little bit with Tom Cruise.
yeah.
Him and Tom Cruise have a thing. I don't. That's probably the best part of that movie. I don't know.
Yeah, he's no, I mean, I like him in Top Gun Maverick. I like that Top Gun Maverick put him in like the public eye kind of where it's like people know who this
Well,
guy
yeah,
is.
he did two flying whatever movies last year.
Yeah, he did Devotion and Top Gun Maverick.
That's an interesting like career decision to be like,
Yeah.
I'm
I'd be
gonna
like, "Yeah, let
fly
me just do 2
jets
of these at the
twice.
same time."
Yeah, it's like okay, Glenn. Like
No, but I remember, like, distinctly seeing Set It Up when it came out on Netflix, and I don't remember all that much about the movie, but I that was very much in, like, my like, I was still it's interesting because I have, like, eras with romance, I feel like, and I think for the past couple years, I, like, forgot how much I like romances, and then over the past couple months, I reminded myself, like, "Oh, this is
yeah,
maybe my favorite genre."
yeah,
Like, I love
sure.
watching romantic stuff. And Set It Up was like a very, at least when it came out and I saw it, felt like a very like fun example because
Yeah, no, it's like it's
he's
nothing like
really
in crazy, but I think it's just like it's a really solid rom com that
yeah,
has great chemistry and has two great actors in the lead roles.
yeah.
Uh,
And I
I
wanna
wish honestly, because you have set it up, like the setup kind of is this like there's two romance things going on at the same time. I wish the other two like you actually cared about a little more.
oh, the bosses.
Like the bosses are like, I don't give a shit about either of these dudes. Like it
Yeah,
would
I
have been
mean,
funny if
I
like
thought
it was almost like two rom coms at once. Like it would be like, oh, I love
isn't
all of these people, but it's like Lucy Liu and Hey
yeah, well,
Diggs
she's
are
an
like,
awesome I love her
yeah,
in
no, I
general. I
do.
don't like
It
her,
was
like,
like
in the
that.
movie.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
they write the bosses as such assholes, but it's not even like that. But it's like I wish I cared about them just a little more because like, I
Yeah,
only want to see Zoe Deutsch and Glenn Powell at this point. Don't show me any of the other
yeah.
people in this movie.
Kind of a testament to how good their chemistry is
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
movie,
I mean,
but it's also that's kind of like a writing decision. It's like you have to do it. I don't know. I guess
yeah.
I feel like I remember that I ended up like caring. Isn't the ending like a happy ending for the bosses?
I don't remember, but it's almost like I wish they just took Zoe Deutsch and Glenn Powell and did a different like trope or like set
Yeah,
it up differently because
I see.
we don't
Set it
I don't
up.
know. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. It's like it's almost like I wish you just had these two meet and like have a rom com instead of the other two people being involved.
Yeah.
It's like
So Zoe
I think
Deutsch
it's
and
almost like
Glenn Powell rom-com on the way.
in structure it is like kind of it's the fault of the movie.
Yeah.
But
I
it's just
see.
like the way the movie is like written is a negative.
That's fair. I wanna talk about some of I'm just
Yeah,
gonna list off a
just pop them
couple
off.
picks
Yeah.
here because this is my one time to talk about romantic
This
movies
is
that
time when Doug is
I
gone.
love.
You can go ahead.
No, but I think you've seen at least one of these. You have seen
Okay.
10 Things I Hate About You before,
Yeah, I
right?
have. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think you're that big of a fan,
shout him it
but
out. No, I like that movie.
oh, do you? I thought you gave it, like, a very negative rating.
No, it's like 3 stars, bro.
Oh, okay. Well, that's like yeah, that's a good Owen rating. I'll take it. Yeah, 10 Things I Hate About You
No,
is
I love
my
Joe. I loved
yeah,
Heath.
it's my favorite
Julia.
yeah, it's my
Shout
favorite
out.
movie ever. I've never liked a movie as much as 10 Things I Hate About You. I will never like a movie as much as 10 Things I Hate About You. And I think a large part in that is that like Heath Ledger
Heath?
and Julia Stiles could not be replaced in this movie. Like there is no other person that would make this movie as effective as those two leads. Like they're just like so, and part of it I think is that Heath Ledger has like kind of what I was saying about Zoe Deutsch, except I think like probably to the 10th degree, because like Heath Ledger is one of those people for me where I'm like, he could have chemistry with everybody. Like he is so charming and like so fit to be in these kinds of things that it's impossible to not like him with somebody. But I think that Julia Stiles is the perfect person to pair him with, because I actually like her character in the movie even more than Heath Ledger's character, which is
Oh yeah,
crazy because Heath Ledger is like my favorite actor ever.
yeah,
But
it's a little crazy.
yeah, but like, I mean, it's not crazy, but it's just like
This
people, you
guy,
know what
he's
I
off
mean?
the yeah, he's on the loony pills right
Like,
now. Yeah,
no,
it's-
it's just that like people like see Heath Ledger as like this grand like
yeah, and
actor,
you
and
just
people
hate
don't
him.
typically talk about Julia
You
Stiles
just-
like that. But it's like Julia Stiles was made to be in this movie, and especially
Mhm.
because like when you talk about like romantic tropes and the way that this movie kind of like follows tropes, and that the fact that like it's kind of like an enemies to lovers kind of thing, or that's putting it loosely, but it's just like they don't like each other and then they end up liking
Yeah.
each other. And like she's so fit for that because she does such a good job playing this character who is like closed off and has like an attitude and stuff like that, and he is just like this super charming, like charismatic person, despite the fact that, you know, like his character gets set up in the movie as someone who's like supposed to be terrifying, but it turns out he's just like the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And he's like so fun, and like pairing the two of them with each other is just like, oh, I mean, it's I don't want to talk about it forever because
Yeah,
like,
no.
you know,
I want to say that it kind of like this movie is a perfect kind of example to bounce off and set it up, because I think this movie does the side character better, because you have
yeah,
this like you have this kind of triangle of three people instead of only two people, and I don't care about anybody else. I think Joseph
yeah,
Gordon-Levitt is so good in this movie as well, and it's like,
yeah.
oh, I have a bunch of characters that I like, instead of like set it up where you're just like, I just want to see these two people and everyone else is like kind of annoying. I don't really
Yeah,
care.
and it's like yeah, I mean, that's the thing about 10 Things I Hate About You as well, is that there's not really a movie that's like, you know, less than 2 hours, like a relatively short movie where there's just like so many characters that I love. Like I literally love every single character in this movie, and I
Yeah.
think like everything going on. And like when you think about chemistry, it's like not only is Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Larissa Olenek like they're good with each other as like the kind of like subplot, I guess. But
Yeah, yeah.
there's like chemistry going around in all the
Yeah, around
relationships.
the
Where it's like
table. Yeah.
there's that scene with Heath Ledger and Joseph Gordon-Levitt outside the party where like
Yeah,
Heath
yeah.
Ledger like gives him this little like pep talk about like, you know, like being himself, and like it's
Yeah.
just like the sweetest moment ever. And I'm like, they have as good as chemistry with each other as anybody in the movie. Like they're like, I don't know, the movie's just like full of it, just like kind of like is full of charisma. Like it just like oozes like chemistry, because I feel
Yeah.
like everybody in the cast is just so in sync with each other. With like they had like, I don't know, 10 Things I Hate, obviously like I'm biased because it's my favorite movie, but like
Yeah.
I just feel like it is like it's this movie that has like a very clear like place in like history, even when you think of like rom-coms, where it's like it executes exactly the way that it was like meant to. Like it because there's like vibes when it comes to rom-coms, kind of, you know what I mean, where it's like you think of like the 2000s rom-coms, and it's like
Yeah,
rom-coms
yeah.
that come out today don't feel like movies from the 2000s, for example. And then like you look at 10 Things I Hate About You, and it's so distinctly 10 Things I Hate About You. Like this movie just is so distinctly itself that like no other movie feels like 10 Things I Hate About You. And you needed a cast that like is
No, yeah.
perfect to
No, yeah.
capture.
That movie could have just been kind of a forgotten movie with a different cast for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just I love 10 Things I Hate About You. I won't ramble forever.
Yeah, yeah.
The other ones I wanted to mention that I'm not gonna like get into detail about are Beginners, which is a romance that I think everybody
Yep.
should watch. It's
Shout out
another
Mike
one of my
Mills.
favorite movies ever. Mike Mills is a legend, and the reason why the chemistry is so good in that movie is not just because the two leads are amazing, but because Mike Mill's writing is so good, he writes a romance in a way that is like so human that you have to care about the two leads, because it's just like Mike Mills's movies don't feel like movies. Like, it feels like you're watching people in real life interact with each other, and it's impossible to like not have good chemistry in that scenario. You know what I mean? Like, obviously you could still have bad chemistry, but it's like when the movie is written for you to feel like such a real person and like this is such a real love story, then like of course you're gonna buy into it, you know? And they're just like, and then of course they pick like the two best people for it because yeah, Gregor's amazing in this. Melanie, is it Melanie Laurent? I don't know. I can't pronounce French names, but that's as close as I'm gonna get. But yeah, they're like perfect for each other. And then the other one that I want to mention is When Harry Met Sally. Just like, I mean, When Harry Met Sally is like the pinnacle, like rom-com.
That's
like,
what they say. Yeah, I have not seen it. Yeah, that's what they say.
It's the one that like is, you know what I mean? Like when people think rom-coms, they think like When Harry Met Sally. Like that's the one that kind of like I feel like has the biggest place in history among like the genre. And it's just such a vibe. Like they're just Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal are like made for each other in that movie, and the ending makes me cry. Everybody should watch it. It's like, I hate to call stuff a classic, but it's like that is the classic. Like when you think of like rom-coms, it's like that's like the must-watch rom-com. I feel like that everybody needs to be familiar with. And then the final thing I want to mention, which is not a movie, but I need to talk about Normal People. Normal People is the like pinnacle of romantic leads having chemistry with each other. Both Daisy Edgar Jones and Paul Mescal like are there. There's no better like connection between two romantic leads that I've seen on TV for sure, but probably also in film as well. Like, granted, it's a TV show, so they have more time to like
grow that kind of relationship.
But there's just so much, like when you think of like what makes good acting and stuff like that, there's so much like going on between them in the show that like it just it's hard to like not buy into it, because it's not just like oh, this is like the story that's being told makes this effective. It's like, no, like you see Paul Mescal look at Daisy Edgar Jones in ways that like completely like solidify why it's such a good romance, because like you could just see through his eyes how much he's in love with it. And like they don't even need to use words to express that. And it's just like, Normal People is maybe my favorite thing I've ever watched at all, like ever. It's the most perfect show. Granted, this is a movie podcast, of course, but like it's literally it's one season. Like if you like
movies, hey, it's on Letterboxd, it counts.
You like movies, you can sit through 12 episodes of one of the best shows ever made. And if you like romance, then like Normal People is that. Granted, you're gonna cry during every single episode. At least if you're like me, I cry during every single episode, but maybe some people are not as emotional as me. But no, it is like a super emotional show, and there's so much like gorgeous like intimacy and love, and like a lot of that comes down to the fact that Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar Jones are like made the same way I was saying like 10 Things I Hate About You had to be those two people. Like these are the two actors that had to be in Normal People. And it could be anybody else.
Really, shout out Phoebe Bridgers.
Okay. You didn't have to do that. But yeah, those are my picks for best chemistry. And we can move on to drafting our own little romantic movie that hopefully would have good chemistry as well. But I guess that'll depend on who we pick. Okay, but here's how it's gonna go down. We're gonna build a romantic movie, and we have to pick we have to pick out of a number of categories. So what we are drafting is 2 lead actors, 3 supporting actors for whatever roles they may be in, a director for the movie, a setting for the movie, a romantic trope that is going to dictate the plot of the movie, and a music artist to do the soundtrack of the movie, because everybody knows that a good romantic movie needs to have a good soundtrack. So I picked the order ahead of time. I did a
Okay.
little
Yeah.
thing here. So you're gonna have the first pick, which means I get back-to-back picks in second.
Okay. We're just going straight, like, I can pick anything, or am I going, like, my lead?
You could go in any order you want. You just have to cross everything off the list at some point.
All right.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think we're gonna be stealing from each other too much. So really,
Yeah, so it's like,
matter.
yeah. So I'm gonna take Ellie Fanning as my lead actress.
Okay, interesting.
I
Wait,
like
is her name Ellie? I thought it was Elle.
I don't know. It could be both. Who knows? I think she's a phenomenal actress that I don't know her name, but she's great. I think she's great.
Interesting. Okay, so
I
that's
mean,
that's one of your leads,
we can ask her
right?
next time she's on the podcast.
Okay.
We can ask her. But what did you say?
That's one of your leads, though, right?
Yeah, that's my lead.
Okay. So I'm gonna pick both of my leads then, since I get picks here. I'm gonna go with Hunter Schafer from Euphoria as one of my leads. And then my other lead is going to be somebody who I don't think you're familiar with at all, but
No, I'm not.
Renee Rapp from The Sex Lives of College Girls, one of my favorite shows. So those are my two leads.
Cool.
We'll swing it back to you.
My other lead is going to be Will Poulter.
Oh, interesting. Because when I was putting my list together for people who I wanted in my supporting roles, I almost wrote Will Poulter down on my short list for supporting characters.
Yeah, no, I kind of went back and forth. I think I could see Glenn Powell in this role as well. I kind of was thinking in that kind of realm. It'll make more sense when I kind of talk about my setting and stuff. But I kind of went through people. I decided to go for someone that I kind of wouldn't talk about normally. So I think Will Poulter's really fun. I think he'll be in a lot more stuff coming up soon.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that pick a lot. And to be fair, there's some I know you haven't seen it, but the show Dopesick, it's like not a romantic show by any means. It's a very serious show about the opioid epidemic, and it's very very depressing. But Will Poulter's character in the show is like I don't even want to call it a romance, because it's like kind of not really a romance at all. But there's things about like the way that he plays the character that in my head when I was watching it, I was like, oh, I would like to see this guy in like a romantic movie.
Yeah, no, I think he has the look. I think think he'd be really
he's very attractive. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you get back-to-back picks, so you get one more.
Oh, okay. I would like Michael Fassbender as one of my supporting, because we have all the money in the world, and I think he will be great in the movie that I make.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I'm interested to see what he would once we get the whole movie.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what the vision is. But
okay.
But yeah, so my next pick, I'm gonna skip supporting for now and go to director. I don't think you would take this director from me.
No, I won't.
Because your director is probably going to be somebody incredibly distinct. But I think there's one person in mind who, if I were writing this romance with these characters in mind and this vision, the person who needs to make it would be Greta Gerwig. Somewhat of a basic pick because she's very in the mainstream now. But Greta Gerwig.
No, I mean,
she's the director.
When you can pick from literally anybody, I think it is like, it's like, this feels like cheating almost. But I mean, you have to do it.
There was a close second. I was really thinking, and I'm only going to say it now because I know that this is not the director you have in mind at all.
Okay.
But I was thinking for a second about John Chu, because John Chu made Step Up 3, my favorite of the Step Up movies.
Okay.
He
Shout out
also
John.
made he also made a couple years ago Crazy Rich Asians, which I think is
Oh,
like
yeah.
when you're thinking, because you mentioned like these movies we're envisioning would be like we don't have any budget, like we're just making the biggest movie we
Yeah.
could possibly make. And Crazy Rich Asians just is a huge movie. I feel like John Chu could do like really well with
Yeah.
romance on a big budget. So, but Greta Gerwig's my pick. And I get back to
You have
back.
another, yeah,
here,
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Right. Okay. So I will take one of my supporting actors then. And I feel like this is, you know what? I'm actually kind of torn on who to pick here because I had 4 actors written down for supporting, and I'm only going to pick 3 of them, of course. But I'm gonna start with Maud Apatow. Another
Shout out Mod. Shout out Mod.
Euphoria actor. I know that
Friend
it's
of the
like
pod, Mod.
I'm really picking Euphoria characters here, but it's like the reason why I'm picking Maud is because I was contemplating Maud Apatow to be the lead in my romance because I think that she in Euphoria she like clearly proved that like she's built to be in a romance, but I think that the vision I have for this movie, this hypothetical movie, includes kind of like 10 Things I Hate About You, more than one romance going on, possibly. So I still feel comfortable taking her. So Maud's going to be my next pick.
Right. For my movie, it'll be directed by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Oh,
I think
interesting.
he has shown to work on like really brilliant stuff that is centered around love and romance. And I think for my project that is kind of feels very large scale and epic based, I think Paul Thomas Anderson is like the right guy to helm that.
Interesting. This is, I feel like our movies are going to be distinctly different
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Like far from each other. Okay, what's your other pick then? You get another one.
Yeah, so we're setting this in ancient Greece.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That is so different from what my setting is going to be.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow. Okay. I really was not expecting that. I thought it was going to be modern day or something. But
no, we don't play.
That's a twist. Okay. Okay. My next back-to-back picks then are going to be 2 more supporting characters, and one of them is going to be Riz Ahmed. I don't know. I was thinking, I was looking at a list between a couple of actors. I was like, I just feel like I need Riz Ahmed in here. It just the vision I had was perfect for him. And then the other person who I have already mentioned just a couple minutes ago, of course, is Paul Mescal. Put him in all the movies.
Put a Paul and everything. Yeah, he's just gonna sit around.
Literally, the Paul train keeps going. We need him in as many movies as possible.
That's what you can do when you have unlimited money there.
Yeah,
Paul Mescal in the background. Yeah. So you did
you
too.
get 2 back-to-back picks now.
So my trope is gonna be forbidden love.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this.
Well, that kind of makes sense with your setting.
No, yeah, no. We're in ancient Greece. We're Romeo and Juliet in this bitch. And I'm gonna bring in Wyatt Russell as another one of my.
Oh, I love Wyatt Russell.
Yeah, he's gonna be another one of my supporting.
Interesting. Okay. So my next pick then is going to be for setting. Mine is going to be in the modern day, but my setting is going to be a road trip movie. So the setting is going to be all across the United States. And then I'll pair that with my trope, which I'm really torn on 2 tropes here, but I'm gonna lean in one direction, and that
with Harry Styles.
No, I'm gonna I'm gonna do friends to lovers. It's gonna start off as a friend road trip and end as a lovers road trip.
Yeah.
That's my plan. So
Have you
those are my
seen that? What's that one with Jack Quaid where he's like going on his
um
weddings? That one's fun. You
I
know what I'm
have
talking about?
to look that up.
That
That
one's
like
fun.
doesn't come to
That's a
mind.
fun little romance. They're like, she's like she has like all these weddings that she has to go on because all her friends are getting married, and she needs like a plus one,
Oh,
and
it's
she's like,
called Plus One, literally.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. That one's fun. I don't know. I just thought of
Oh,
that.
it's on my watch list. Interesting. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. So I'm going Rachel Wise or Weiss,
Oh,
whatever, for another supporting role. And then I think all I have to do is my music, and I think so. We're having
yeah.
Elliott Smith as my soundtrack stuff.
Oh, of course.
Because it's gonna be depressing and yeah, no, I think that's my little perfect little ancient
Yeah.
Greece tragedy Shakespearean thing.
I I have a number of options. My last pick is, yeah, I believe that crosses off everything for me. I just need a soundtrack if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, okay, because I picked everybody. Right. Okay. Um I had a number of picks for soundtrack in mind. Obviously
Yeah,
there's an obvious Kevin pick. And
really, do
I wanted to divert from that pick.
it, do it.
I'm gonna stay committed to it, because it's just like everything I have in mind about this movie. It's just like it would be nothing would
Yeah,
be more fitting than for my number one to be involved in it. So we're gonna go with Taylor Swift for my soundtrack.
yeah.
The
Seems
perfect road
special.
trip.
Who else? I'd be interested in who else you were thinking about.
I was thinking, well, one of them would have been Renee Rapp, but she's starring in the movie, so I
Yeah,
didn't want to
that's
pick her
yeah,
for two things.
that's a little cheating, you know.
She's both an actor and a musician, and her
Yeah.
music is also very good. And then the other one would be Olivia Rodrigo. I feel like
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I
no,
love
I thought about putting Charlie XCX in my ancient Greece movie,
Charlie XCX.
but I was
Perfect.
like, you know what, maybe that might be a little too much. But
Yeah, no, I could see that. Okay, so here's our final picks for our romance movie draft slash building a romance movie. So we'll do mine first. My leads are Hunter Schafer and Renee Rapp. My supporting actors are Maud Apatow, Riz Ahmed, and Paul Mescal. My director is Greta Gerwig. The setting is a road trip movie. My trope is friends to lovers, and my soundtrack is made by Taylor Swift. And Owen's movie, the leads are Al Fanning and Will Poulter. The supporting actors are Rachel Weisz, Wyatt Russell, and Michael Fassbender. The director is Paul Thomas Anderson. The setting is ancient Greece. The trope is forbidden love. And the soundtrack is made by Elliott Smith. I feel like we both built very interesting movies. Wait,
oh yeah,
so
I like how mine came out.
do you have any bit of a vision, or do you just have your picks? Because I feel like I have a very like distinct, not like very distinct, but just like
Well, yeah, no,
I
just tell me what you were kind of thinking there.
yeah, I was thinking, like I said, obviously with the trope, it would be Renee Rapp and Hunter Schafer like start off as friends, commit to a road trip together, and then over the course of this road trip would fall in love as the road trip goes on. And I was thinking that the supporting characters would be like people that they run into on the road trip. And I envisioned that Paul Mescal and Riz Ahmed would be a couple that they meet on the road trip.
Okay.
And then Maud Apatow would also be in a couple with somebody, I'd imagine, except yeah, we were only picking three actors, so I didn't I didn't get
Yeah,
to
yeah,
count.
yeah. So it's like it's kind of weird because you have the three. Because I definitely was thinking like this is very much like Romeo and Juliet in like ancient Greece, and there's like I think Michael Fassbender is the perfect like
Mhm.
head, like he's like the kind of not the king, but he's like the big royalty guy, and he
Mhm.
you could have like Ellie Fanning be his like his daughter, and then Will Poulter is like some bum, and then like Wyatt Russell is like his friend, and then Rachel Weisz is probably like I would say probably Michael Fassbender's wife. And
Yeah.
it's just like it's like this big like Greek epic kind of thing going on.
Yeah,
That's
I see. I
tragedy, and
kind
they
of
probably like all die at the end or something.
I kind of envision that you would do something. I envision that that's what your trope would be because I know that you like Romeo and Juliet,
Yeah.
and I was like, you're not a romance person, but you like Romeo and Juliet, so like of course it's the trope you're gonna go with.
Yeah.
The other one I had in mind because it's definitely like my favorite kind of is I was I love a good like I've said this to you before already, but I love a good like a meet cute, and I
Yeah.
I just didn't think it would make sense within the context of a road trip movie. Obviously it could. Like there could be like a little meet cute that
Yeah,
spirals
I
into
mean,
it.
it could be kind of like a Bones and All kind of meet cute where it's like
Yeah,
you're
that's true.
I'm on a road trip and then I meet
It's
you and then we like keep
it's funny
going.
because I had Luca Guadagnino
Yeah, no,
on my list.
I did think of Luca as well because it
Yeah.
was kind of like yeah, I like
I
yeah,
I had a
just a
whole list. I had Greta, I had Luca, I had John, like I mentioned. I thought possibly Mike Mills, but I think his
Mike
like
Mills.
I think Mike Mills is like, of course, like I said, like he's a bit too. His movies
Yeah.
are a bit too like real, dramatic, and human, and I want this to be more like rom com vibes, like kind of like fun vibes. And then the other ones I had were Catherine Hardwicke, the Twilight director,
Yeah, shout out
and
Red Riding Hood.
yeah, and Gina Prince Bythewood, who she made this past year, she made The Woman King, but she's also made a couple of romantic movies
Gotcha.
that I really like Love and Basketball and Beyond the Lights. But yeah, I had a whole list of directors that
Yeah, no, I built my movie and then I was kind of just thinking, and I think for me it was like PTA kind of slid like perfectly. PTA kind of fit perfectly because PTA has worked on larger scale stuff, but he's also like Licorice Pizza came out last year. Has like this kind of like vibe of just people having fun and like this like I don't know, because I kind of wanted to feel grounded in this big world that it kind of built. I also thought about it's funny that I with Paul Thomas Anderson because I also thought of Paul W.S. Anderson
my God,
because he made Pompeii, which is kind of like this. It's very much forbidden love, like the
yeah,
world's ending kind of thing, which I really liked. But I just think Paul Thomas Anderson would be just a better pick there.
yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I like
Yeah,
that
I
little
like how we both have
movie.
pretty like distinct visions for what we do.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very interested to see what other people think, what other people who are listening or see our lists think is the better choice here.
Yeah, yeah.
These are two distinctly
No,
different.
it's so different movie. It's like
This is completely
opposite. Yeah,
just off vibes. Like it just depends what
yeah.
kind of you'd rather see.
Shout out
Um,
the vibes.
but yeah, that's gonna wrap up our little Valentine's Day romantic
Special.
episode.
It's a
Yeah,
special. It's a Douglas
yeah.
special.
But yeah, let us know what you thought about the new Magic Mike movie or really any of the Magic Mike movies. Let us know which romantic movies you think have the best chemistry. And of course, let us know which one of
Of
our two
course.
is better because that's definitely what we're most
That's
interested in.
all that matters.
Yeah,
Comment
we
down
need
below. Also,
to
make this podcast the most viewed episode yet, so Doug looks like an idiot.
that would be hilarious. Um, but yeah, join us next week, episode 9. We're going to be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, the new Marvel
Let's
movie.
go.
Yeah, we're super excited to watch the new Marvel movie. But yeah, we'll see everyone next week.